Welcome into the UMBC Coaches Corner. Your host, your substitute host, Steve Levy, for today. We're so thrilled to be presenting you with volleyball and cross country. Our first show was at State Fair for soccer. We'll be back there for basketball in November, but we're thrilled today to be talking about our UMBC volleyball and cross country programs. We're going to kick it off with volleyball. Head coach Christina Robertson and one of our outstanding student athletes, Kayla Tomas. And Coach, we'll kick it off with you. We really haven't talked publicly like this since you had a remarkable accomplishment last spring, winning the America East Championship. But it was a strange year, competing in the spring. But what are your overall memories of that experience back this past spring?
I mean, it's been a wonderful finish, and obviously everyone remembers the championship and the fact that we got there to NCAA, but it has been a really hard year for, not just for us, but for everyone. And our girls have done remarkable, just staying in their dorms, taking their classes online, coming to practice. We stayed COVID-free. So asking a group of young women from 18 to 21 to just do the right things all the time, and for them to actually do it shows how much they wanted to do this and how much volleyball and winning a championship means to this team.
Taylor, from your perspective, talk about the strangeness of that spring season. Obviously, growing up, you're always playing volleyball. You're probably playing all year long, but your competitive season's in the fall. Talk about how weird last year was.
It definitely did feel different, just going from playing in the fall to now the spring was a bit of an adjustment, but the girls did a great job adjusting to it. With COVID testing very frequently, it was not easy at all, but kind of like what Coach Christina was saying, these group of girls, we all share that same desire and that same goal to win conference and get to go to the NCAA tournament. So having that goal in mind, I think that we really did a good job of putting that together. Definitely was strange. We did a good job of adjusting.
One more question about last year, then I'm going to move on. But that title game at UAlbany, just an amazing match, down 2-1. What are your most vivid memories of that tremendous comeback and that victory?
The most vivid is I know I was sweating profusely, and I remember Coach Chance in my ear, we're winning this, stay with it. And then seeing that turnaround on the court, it happened on a split second, one by one. People just kind of rallied, and here we are, Game 5, and Game 5 is anyone's game, but I felt really, really confident. The coaching staff felt confident. I think that translated on the court as well. They looked confident.
Right.
They didn't make errors. They knew they were on a mission, and they just took it home. It was unbelievable.
Kayla, from your perspective, as a player in that setting, what are you feeling in that setting? Are you feeling calm? Are you feeling nervousness? What's kind of going through your emotions as you're, an integral part of that particular match?
Yeah, it was a series of emotions, mixed emotions. Our team was definitely very excited. One word I would use to describe how we were feeling, we were hungry. Going into that match, we knew that, Albany was a competitive team, and during the season, we lost to them in the first 2 matches, but this was our time to show out, our last chance to prove to everyone wrong. No one expected us to even compete in that championship match and compete for that title, and we just proved everyone wrong, because it just goes to show the dedication, the hard work, anything is possible. So I'm very proud of the group of girls.
All right, now we'll move to the current season, which I know you like talking about more. But obviously such a tough start to the year, so much travel, there have been injuries. But do you think it really toughened up this team to get you guys off to this wonderful 5-0 start in America East?
I believe so. COVID in the spring, we didn't have a preseason, so I think all this traveling, all the adversity, you travel for 3-4 days in a row, then you come back, then you go again, and it makes the team a little more resilient, and the experience of competing with the best in the country as well, because we played a lot of top 100, top 50 teams, and we competed so well. So I think that prepared us for conference, and losing a few matches, I think made us even hungrier to win, because losing obviously sucks. and that bitter taste of it didn't carry for so long. So we have been working really hard as a team to stay healthy, stay together, and just keep pushing.
Kayla, how much progress have you seen from when you guys got started out the season down in Florida to where you guys are right now?
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely see improvement day in and day out. Each day it keeps getting better. We always talk about how we want to take it one match at a time, one day at a time, one rep at a time. That's something that coach always instills in us to think and think in the present. So definitely during preseason, it was tough to start out with when you're playing all these great schools, but now we have settled into watching film, like getting everything ready. This is something that we can't think too far in the future. We have to take it step by step, but it's definitely working in our favor. I'm excited to see where we go because we aren't done yet. We have a lot to do.
A little more.
So one match, Coach, I have to point out in particular was the Stony Brook match. You guys had a couple of tough calls in set one, lost that one 27-25, and then just set three was just amazing, down 17-9. And you just don't see teams rally from those kind of deficits against quality opponents. Yet you guys managed to do that, win set three, and then win the match. Just, kind of recount that tremendous comeback in set three, and eventually, and that was the first conference game, so that was a very important match.
It was the first conference match, and it was the first time that everyone, most of us were back to being healthy. The first time being actually together as we are in today's formation. And I remember that point of the match really clear. And I know we had a timeout, and I think once we made the decision to play together, to focus on volleyball and just the positive things, don't think about the score, don't think about the officials, don't think about what they're doing. You take it one touch at a time and see where you get, because obviously it's 17-8 or whatever it was. It's like, let's see how many points we can score, and I feel like we were flawless until the end of that set. I don't think there were many errors. They went in and like they had nothing to lose because there was not much to lose after that, right? And I feel like that was a boost of confidence on our side, and we took down a very good Stony Brook team.
Coach, I'm going to come back to you because we're filming this at a great time because you have a big home weekend coming up this weekend against Binghamton and NJIT. And Binghamton is a team that knocked off UAlbany a couple weeks ago. So I know they're a much improved team. Talk about them and your competition this coming weekend.
It's going to be a tough weekend because Binghamton has a veteran team. They have been playing together for a while. There's a lot of seniors, juniors, grad students. And the victory against Albany made them very confident in their skills, and that's to show you what they're capable of. They usually come here, they're very aggressive, and they're going to come after us. They're a solid serving team, there's a solid blocking team, so we need to prepare for them on Friday for them to be scrappy, to be mature, to play really, really hard against us. Obviously, everyone is going to come to get us. And after that, we played at NJIT. And we know how they serve. They serve very well. They took a game off Albany as well, a set off, and it's going to be a tough weekend because everything is so close together as well when you play the opponents. So it's going to be tough, but we are going to prepare this week for Binghamton first, and then on Saturday we'll move forward with the rest.
Coach, my last question for you is to brag on and talk about this young lady to your left. Talk about Kayla and what her role is and what she contributes to your team.
I mean, Kayla has been with us for a while, so she's a veteran of our team, and her and her family have been tremendous to us. You always see her family in the gym shouting the loudest. You always see her little sister playing with my young son, and they've been very big supporters of UMBC volleyball. Kayla is a hard-working individual. She's very loyal. She's very studious. Obviously, she's very big on academics, bright. She's managing school and volleyball and social very, very well, and she's a role model for our younger girls coming into the program. She does it all, and she does this graciously. I don't see her stressed out very much. She manages her emotions very well, and she's been tremendous for us on the court. She had a hell of a weekend this weekend, and we see her growing every day. So we're lucky to have her.
Kayla, talk about your decision-making process in coming to UMBC and tell everyone what you're majoring in and what your plans might be after graduation.
Yeah,
Which I know
of
is a little bit
course.
off, but
No, it's okay. I love that question. So yes, like I mentioned, I am a junior here at UMBC, and I am studying information systems. When I was deciding, where I wanted to study, what I wanted to do, it was really just a matter of, can I see myself getting involved in all these activities that I'm passionate about? And here at UMBC, it being an honors university, it holds like their students to a high standard. I always brag about UMBC and how the students are self-motivated. People want to be successful coming out. Usually people come out with jobs already lined up, and that's what I wanted for myself. So I thought that was a great opportunity. And in addition to playing volleyball here, I'm also a part of a scholars program for the Center for Women in Technology. So go women in STEM. I love talking about that because it's something important. Like when you decide where you want to go, you have to be able to juggle it all and to see that this is something that I love to do, and is it going to benefit me once I graduate my undergrad in these 4 years. And so luckily this summer I was offered an internship to work for KPMG in the federal cybersecurity sector. So I'm very excited to be pursuing that.
Wonderful. And you obviously have so much on your plate,
Yes.
as Coach mentioned, but something, a very interesting sidelight on you, which I learned very recently, is you are actually a campus tour guide.
I am.
So tell us all how that kind of materialized and how that came to be.
Yeah, coming into my junior year, I had a conversation with a faculty mentor who said, you know what, I think you would be perfect for this position. She gave me a little bit more information about it. I decided this is something that I'm going to apply. Over the summer, I went through the interview process, and now I'm working on my own schedule when I can to give tours to families and potential students who will be joining us here.
So when you're on your tours with prospective students, what are you trying to convey to not only the students but also the parents that are, I'm sure, along those tours? What are you trying to convey to them about the university?
I'm just trying to show how many opportunities UMBC has to offer here. We offer so many resources, and it's a matter of, you as the student taking advantage of those resources. Students and families come in with great questions, and as a tour guide, as a grit guide, it's my job, and it's something that makes me happy to see the students learn something, because when I was in their shoes, that's something I would have wanted to learn about the school. So yeah, just trying to share my knowledge to them, and hopefully they can join us.
Okay, my next question, we're going to superimpose a campus map over this question. So what is your typical route on your tours? Where do you kind of start? Where do you end?
All right, well, I start at the library. I talk about the different, like Einstein's Bagel, of course, where we eat breakfast, and then the different like floors that you can print stuff, and then we go straight from there to I take them to the dorm. They get to see inside kind of a living situation if you were, share the bathrooms and all that. And then after that, I go to D Hall. We just do a quick sneak through, and they get to see the food options that we have. Commons. I love always talking about how diverse our school is, because as soon as I walk into Commons, you just see all the different countries that students who came from visited here. And then of course, the rack too, which was just newly built. I love bragging about the rack because it's so cool. I go there too. Sometimes to dance in the studio, if I want to get an extra workout in, that's where you'll find me.
So my last question is, I think you alluded to this earlier when you talked about coming to UMBC, but have you found the university to be a great environment to be able to find success on the court, in the classroom, and as Coach mentioned, your social abilities? Have you found that UMBC is a great place for you to combine all of these three things?
Oh yes, without a doubt, for sure, and more, because here the faculty mentors really work with us students, whether you're a student athlete or not. They work with us. They want to see us succeed. I never hesitate to reach out and just ask them questions. They truly do care about us, and they just want what's best for us. They want to make it easier on us, because they do know we have a life outside of just school or sports or extracurricular activities. So I owe a great deal to the faculty mentors here, which we do have a game coming up for the teacher appreciation on October 29th, and I asked like 6 professors to come, and they will come and support. So it just, yeah, I have a close relationship with all my professors. I'm glad they make my experience here a lot better and more memorable.
Coach Kayla, we certainly appreciate the visit today. Best of luck against Binghamton and NJIT this weekend, and best of luck in trying to defend that conference championship.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
When we come back, we were going to talk cross country with a pair of our student athletes. You are watching the UMBC Coaches Corner, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner, presented by State Fair. Steve Levy. Now, we're going to talk UMBC cross country with Emmy Byer and Sam Brosh of the cross country teams. And before we get into it, got to give a shout out to head coach Matt Gitterman. Obviously, coach is a teacher and part-time at UMBC, but I know how hard he works with you guys. So I want to give a shout out to him before we start the conversation. And Emmy, I'll kick it off with you. You had a tremendous freshman year. Talk about, did you expect when you came to UMBC you were going to be able to perform so well as a freshman?
Honestly, I was so nervous coming in freshman year. I know Gitterman reached out to me and he said, "Oh, you'll do fine," but I always have those doubts of, but what if I don't do fine? I'll be, the back of the pack. But with the amount of support from not only my teammates, but also the coaches and also the trainers as well, I was just so humbled by the amount of work that I was able to put out.
Sam, from your perspective, talk about the jump from high school to college. You went to a 1A school, and I should mention that all 3 student athletes are products of Maryland high schools, but went to a smaller school. Talk about that jump between high school and college.
Yeah, so like you said, I went to Patterson Mill High School, a 1A school, very small school. I think I was a big fish in a small pond. Of course, if I went to a 4A school, I would be, pretty fit right in. But luckily, I had coaches to help me out with that transition to college. Of course, going to college, a huge jump in mileage. I think I was probably running around 40 to 50 miles per week in high school, and then I jumped to 60 to 70 in college. So definitely a very difficult jump. In my first year, I was sort of like finding my place, and it was definitely difficult. But with the help of my coaches and of course my teammates, some very good leaders that I was able to follow along, I actually was able to grow and develop as a student athlete, and I think I found my place now that I'm in my last year.
I want to ask both of you how strange last year was. COVID year, and from a competition standpoint on cross country specifically, you guys had a very early spring, conference championship in early March. First of all, you talk about how just bizarre that the whole kind of year was, and then having just the one competition and it being the conference championship.
It was, to say it was bizarre is a little bit, I guess, of an understatement because probably 3 weeks or 2 weeks to our cross-country conference, as we like to put it, Gitterman said to us, "We don't have a conference meet, by the way. We are just going to train through and let's keep working to outdoor." And we all said, fine, that sounds great. We all really enjoy outdoor. Outdoor, we all go 110% because we know the intensity goes up tremendously. And then probably about 2 weeks out to our conference meet, he went, oh, by the way, we have a conference meet. We don't really know where it's going to be located. We don't really know the time. We just know it's going to be there. So we all went, okay, let's rework it a bit. And when all the details were finalized, we all went, okay, you know, it's last minute. We would have liked a little bit more prep, but let's go out there. It's literally going to be reckless abandonment, as our coach put it, because it's not really going to be a season. It's just a race, and let's just see where our training has put us. And all of us were pretty satisfied with it being COVID and all of a sudden being shut down for months at a time, and then all of a sudden reopening and coming back to campus. We all were just so excited to just get some cobwebs dusted off.
And you had a tremendous finish. You placed 12th. Were you pleased with your tremendous performance at conferences last year?
I was very surprised, to say the least, because our coach again just said, go out there. We don't expect to really, you know, place well, just because everyone out there just said, who knows?
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen? But he said, just go out there and run a race. And I just said, okay. And the entire time, I just slowly worked my way up, keeping with the front pack. And then as soon as that last, 1K came around, I went, okay, let's grind it out. Mm-hmm. Let's just go reckless abandonment. Let's even, if we gas out, that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Sam, talk from your perspective, again, how strange was the year to you? And you were UMBC's fourth place finisher at conferences last year, so how did you feel about your effort?
Yeah, so like you said, very strange season. To me, it was actually very much a relief, coming off the COVID season, where we didn't think we would get a cross-country season 2020. So I guess one race is better than none. I tend to really like cross-country just because it's such a team-oriented sport. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you do lose that in track and field. You might feel like you're your own individual athlete. But in cross-country, everyone races together. It's just a very fun sport. So it was nice that the America East Conference was able to put that on, even if it was just last minute, even if we didn't know where it was going to be, even a week before. But yeah, so you mentioned I placed fourth. That was a very tough day. I remember the wind. It was just very rough. Emmy's nodding here with me. And it was a grind. I can't understate the effort that you have to put into a cross-country 8K. But like I said, it was just really nice to be out there. We are looking to do something a lot better this year in cross country, though.
Excellent segue, because Emmy, I want to start talking about this year for you guys. This coming weekend, you guys will be at Princeton, and then the next meet after is the conference championship. So talk about how this year has gone, how you guys are preparing, and how you think it's going so far.
This year, we are just so beyond excited to actually have a set schedule and an actual season this year, and a lot of us have just been so jittery for the past 2 years at this point to not be running a cross-country meet and to be out there and to maybe complain or groan a little bit about some of the course conditions, but overall we are just beyond excited to be racing again. And I know on the women's side we are just always constantly supporting one another during practice, saying, do the last rep with me, you got it, or come on, move up with me, we can do it. And we are just so excited to be competing again, because we really do want to try and be Gitterman's fastest team.
Sam, what about from the men's perspective? How has the year progressed, and how are you guys looking forward to peaking, hopefully, at the right time?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, this is my fourth year at UMBC. And I have to say, without a doubt, this is the strongest I've ever seen the men's team this year. There are some loose ends that we sort of had to address coming off of our last meet up in Lehigh, which we've sort of addressed. And, with leadership from people like Taylor Barnowski, Mark Unger, and also some young talent with Cameron Hindle and Ayu Fanta. I think that we're ready to do something really special this year. Go to the conference meet. It was always my goal coming into this program at UMBC to leave the program better than I found it at. Okay. And I think that I really think we have a good chance. I think it's just a matter of executing when the time comes. So I think when October 29th comes, we'll be ready to do it.
Tell everyone what you're majoring in at UMBC and what you are considering doing after graduation.
So my major is a bit strange in a sense. I'm a double major, so I'm with history and GES. That's Geography and Environmental Sciences. That sounds very complex, but really I'm in the BA route, so more focusing on human geography and human relations. And some people, I have heard a few comments of, well, what are you going to do with that outside of college? And I really want to continue, hopefully, to a master's program here. My professors in both departments have been extremely supportive with helping me continue it. Some have already said, please. I would be more than thrilled to help you with your master's program and for you to be under my wing. And I really do think that these two majors combined can help us go further in that department and helping one another realize that how interconnected we all are with our relations to one another, especially with our times right now with social movements really getting a major push with especially social media. And I'm just really excited to further my studies.
Sam, you're a little closer to the finish line than Emmy is. Talk about your major and what you would like to do post your undergraduate education.
Yeah, well, you say I'm close to the finish line, but I'm going to correct you there a little bit. I've been interning at Aberdeen Proving Ground in the SNTCD Space and Terrestrial Communications Department up there, and I applied for a scholarship. It's called the SMART Scholarship, and I earned it. I earned 3 years of funding, meaning that they'll fully fund my master's program. So like Emmy said, or she's going to do, I'm also going to be doing my master's. I did my undergraduate in computer engineering, or I'm doing my undergraduate in computer engineering, and I'll be doing my master's in electrical engineering. I think something related to signal processing, electromagnetics. So that's my plan. I'm not sure if I'm going to be staying at UMBC for that or going somewhere else. But after graduation, it's funded by the DoD, so I'll be working for the DoD for as long as I had the scholarship. So I'll be working back at the Aberdeen Proving Grounds, working on electromagnetic solutions for them.
Excellent. So Emmy, let's get into kind of our off-the-grid conversation. And you relate to me that you are a bit of a movie critic, especially when it comes to historical films. Talk about like how you began to immerse yourself into this really interesting field.
So my movie critique interest really started probably when I was really young, elementary school, and I'm a huge comic book fan too. So one of my favorite first heroes that I was introduced to was Captain America, and the whole premise around Captain America is that he started in World War II, and his whole world surrounded around that for his first half of his character development. And me being a kid, I really wanted to also get into that and learn more about the real world applications because I knew, yeah, they're superheroes, but they are based on really cool events in history. So I've moved on to that.
So do you get, given your history background, your desire for historical accuracy, do you get frustrated at times when Hollywood takes some liberties with some of these films?
Some of the films, as we discuss in some of my ancient classes, like ancient Roman history and Greek Empire, yeah, we do get upset just a little bit when sometimes they take a little too creative of a route. But we also do appreciate, especially new movies like 1917 coming out with quite literally some of the best cinematography we've seen in a very long time with a just first-person point of view along with a third-person point of view and that beautiful artistry with that. So we appreciate it half and half.
So you just alluded to one movie, but what are a few of your top recommendations? If you had to tell someone these are two or three really great films that are really must-sees, what would they be?
Oh, the must-sees. So recently, it would have to be 1917. Dunkirk, maybe. As my cousin put it, I fell asleep during that. So maybe don't watch it if it's getting a little too late at night. But I know a lot of people appreciate it, especially the sound work and the soundtrack for that. Hans Zimmerman really blew it out of the water. my third pick, it's going to be a documentary, so some people don't really like those, but I really appreciate the amount of work that went into They Too Shall Not Grow Old. They actually went back to very vintage footage from World War I and World War II. We're able to dub it properly with lip readers, recolor it, add a soundtrack, and truly make it into real time. So I highly suggest that film if anyone's a bit of a nitpick for history like myself.
And I guess my final question is, what are one or two of the most egregious mistakes that you have seen made in a film that, you know, really turned you off to that particular film?
So, although it is a fictional film, I do have to say Captain America is one of the films that is a bit of a push. A lot of films always say, back in the old days, a lot of people were in softer colors or darker colors such as grays, whites, a mix of blacks and everything, but really they were beautiful palettes back then. Not as strong as a rainbow as we would see today, but a bit more muted, so I would like to see a bit more color in older films. And then also, as we just discussed in Greek history, the movie 300 really took its creative liberties a little too far. We understand there were some pretty cool speeches back then, but unfortunately, there is no, this is Sparta moment. So, as much as I want to say, yeah, that happened, it was a cool pit and everything, no.
Gotcha, great. So that's some terrific information. Sam, we'll kick it over to you for your kind of off the grid stuff, and obviously I read up on you, and you play both the piano and the cello. Talk about how you got your start in those what I call two like fairly diverse type of instruments.
Yeah, so growing up in a very musical household, I have 3 older siblings, and all of them played piano and their respective instruments. And so I was able to very quickly immerse myself in that, the piano. I sort of went towards sort of the band instruments as I got towards elementary school. And then in middle school, I picked up the cello, and I played that. I mentioned I was at Patterson Mill, like a very small school. Mm-hmm. So it was nice to have a lot of opportunities that I might not get into in a larger school. I was able to be a part of the symphonic orchestra, the jazz band, the pit band. So that was very cool. I sort of took a break from my instruments my first year of college as I was settling in. I would say my sophomore year I picked back up piano with a very high interest in jazz. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite genre. And I've been playing that ever since. I really like how I have the freedom to do what I want. I don't have to worry about some guy back in the 1600s be like, oh, you didn't play this note right. You're not allowed to play my music. I can sort of do what I want, you know, my own thing. I'm playing that like solo jazz piano in some small settings like art galleries every now and then just to keep up the habit. It's something that I really enjoy doing.
So what is it? I was going to ask you about your favorite genre, but you've already mentioned it. So
yeah.
What is it about jazz music that really kind of gets to your core?
Yeah, so the reason I love jazz music so much is, like I just said, I have the freedom to do what I want. I have the freedom to do, you know, how jazz music is written is you have the chord structure and you also have the melody. Past that, it's the musician's choice to do whatever they want. I don't have to, like I said, I don't have to worry about someone, you know, over my shoulder saying, you know, you didn't do the staccato right, you know, you didn't hold the fermata for long enough. And I think that sort of encapsulates who I am as a person. Like, you know, if I do my own thing, if I do what I want to do, it embodies me. So that's sort of the reason I like jazz. I can sort of I have the option to be creative.
So Sam, how do you stay sharp on these instruments? You have so much on your plate, you know, academically, athletically. How do you kind of, you know, I know you took a year off basically. How do you kind of keep your sharpness?
Yeah, so maybe my roommates don't like it, but I have a piano in my apartment. You can ask them. But I do play every now and then. Like you said, it is difficult being an athlete, as well as a very difficult major in computer engineering, and sort of figuring out everything there. But I think when you do like something, when you're very passionate about it, you're able to find the time. I think a quote from someone, if the why is strong enough, then you'll always find the how. So, I'm able to sort of filter that into my day every now and then, and of course stay sharp when I go play in art galleries and such.
So Sam, sports and music are so interrelated, obviously. So when you guys are training, what's kind of on your playlist when you're actually training? Is it jazz or is it another genre of music?
That's a good question. I generally, I really do like jazz when I'm training. Bill Evans is very good, a very good artist. George Shearing, Art Tatum, when you really want to, I don't know, you're really active, and you want to get some energy out. Yeah, that's a good question. Although I do sometimes filter into other genres like hip hop, pop. But generally when I'm running though, I sort of like to listen to nature. I don't usually like to listen to music. I really like to take everything in, and I think sometimes music takes away from that. When I'm listening to music or when I'm playing music, I like that to be my only thing, so it has my full attention, it has my full focus. But yeah. So when I'm running, it's not so much something I do.
Sam, great visit from you and Emmy. Terrific. Glad to know you on that level, not just the student athletes. I'm glad you could let our viewers and fans know about you're just not in the classroom and not just training, but have other interests as well. So we really appreciate the visit. Best of luck at Princeton this weekend, and best of luck at conference championships.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once again, our volleyball team it plays against Binghamton at home on Friday, 7 o'clock, and then back against NJIT on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Get out there and follow the cross-country team's results. A lot of you probably can't get to Princeton or Durham, New Hampshire later in the year, but follow along with how cross-country proceeds. So glad to bring you the Coach's Corner presented by State Fair. We'll see you next time.